So when it comes to choosing an aftermarket radio, there are a hell of a lot of options out there. For me, when it comes to searching, I usually just go on Amazon or Crutchfield, some kind of automotive radio site, and basically just sort by the best reviewed, and then just go down through there, filtering out the tackiest, ugliest models I find, and settling on something that looks like it could have came in the car and also has a good amount of features and, you know, is somewhat of a name brand that I know isn't gonna shit the bed in a few weeks. But yes, today we are going to be installing an aftermarket radio in my 2008 Astra here. Going through that same kind of search process, I came across this website, carnaviplayer.com, and it looked pretty promising. I mean, the radios caught my eye because they look totally factory. This car didn't come with any kind of screen that I know of, no navigation, nothing like that. And the radio I found looks like it could have been pulled out of one of these that came with an option of like a touchscreen or something. As for the interface, you're coming along with me for that because I have no idea what this thing is going to be like. As you can see, it is a basic white boxed radio. There's absolutely no branding on here whatsoever. This was shipped straight from Hong Kong, and I got to say, it actually came pretty quick. So let's crack the box open, see what it comes with, and I'm going to kind of give you guys a rundown on everything you get with this off-branded radio for a whopping $600. Yes, I shit you not. This radio, after shipping, it was about, I think it was a hair under $600. But they got me with the factory aesthetic and the fact that this is apparently completely plug and play. You don't need an adapter harness, and it is supposed to retain all those controls. Another pretty cool thing is you could kind of customize this. Now, I think they started around $350, but I added on the backup camera, so they gave me the camera, the wiring, and I also opted for wireless Apple CarPlay. You could get this thing basic with a wired Android Auto, wired CarPlay. We can pull this thing out. So right away, as you can tell, this thing looks like a factory friggin' radio. No doubt about it. That looks like it just came out of like a Camry or something. And you can see it actually has a CD player, it has a DVD player, so that's another little cool feature that a lot of these head units today don't come with because they're mostly just media receivers now. And once again, that just kind of adds to the factory looking aesthetic as well. It has volume knobs, which you guys know I like, and actually, you know, they feel pretty good. And it does come with this harness here. So if you do want to add an amp or a sub later on, this plugs into one of these connectors here, and then you can add basically an aftermarket amp to power your door speakers. You could put a subwoofer. It has all the features of an aftermarket radio. It just looks completely boring and stock, which I friggin' love about it. And when it comes to removing the radio in the Astra here, as you can see, it has these little holes. In most cars, you have a piece of trim you kind of got to pull off. There's some screws, you slide the thing out. In the case of this car, it's kind of like a Ford where it has these holes with some clips, and I actually ended up modifying a factory, you know, a Ford tool to do this. I just spread these tangs here open a little more so they fit the offset of these holes. And basically we're just gonna pop these in till we hear it click. Then I'm gonna pull these out and we're gonna slide the radio out. It's in there tight. All right. That was legitimately the easiest radio I ever removed. So a little side-by-side comparison. The color is pretty much there. This looks like it has a little bit of a sparkle to it almost. And the new one is more of just like a basic flat color. Now it is worth mentioning, if you never installed one of these before and this is your first time, this thing comes with no instructions whatsoever. I haven't found anything. I thought maybe there would have been something in the little CarPlay box, but this is actually this dongle, I guess, that plugs into the USB in the back for the wireless CarPlay. And just, you know, by process of elimination, I think what's going to happen here is this is, well, first of all, that's the backup camera. This is an antenna, I believe, for the GPS, because this has built-in navigation. Even though if you have CarPlay, you're going to use Google Maps or Apple Maps anyway. But we have two harnesses here. This appears to just be the aftermarket harness for an aftermarket amp, sub, something like that. That'll plug into one of these ports here. And then we have this kind of piggyback harness that is the same connector that's on the car right now, and you can see that's the same that's on the original radio. So this is basically just going to plug right into the factory harness. This is going to go into the back of our radio here. And then I'm assuming this is the little box here that's going to decode everything and make the factory screen, infotainment screen above the radio actually work. And then the USBs are labeled. This is 3G, and this is the CarPlay one. So all I'm going to do is plug in our CarPlay dongle. And it is nice it has a USB, so you still retain the function of that. And then we have a mic port here, which I think the radio has a built-in mic in the front because it doesn't come with a microphone that I can see here. Here's our antenna adapter. That'll just pop into there. And then that's the connector that's actually on the car. This stuff I'm gonna leave off because this is all just for subwoofer and stuff. If I add an amp and stuff later, I'll just keep that handy on the side. So at the back of the car here, I'm not really one for drilling holes in the bumper, but there's like an absolutely perfect spot right between the two license plate lights that I think this camera is going to fit quite nicely. And yeah, I could probably double side tape that, but it's in such a inconspicuous area, I'm not going to notice it. All right, so I pulled the interior plastic off of here, and there were actually some air vents in here. I don't know if you can be able to see this, but these little flaps go outside of the car, I guess, to let air out when you close the trunk. So all I'm gonna do is pull the plate off. I'm gonna make a little tiny hole behind the plate. That way I can kind of just run the wire down and in. You're not gonna see it outside the car. And I'm just gonna fish it up through that vent hole. All right, so the hole is made. I got enough slack down here to kind of keep that flat. All right, so I got the car in reverse. I'm just gonna come in here and test the connector to see which wire is powering the reverse light. Pretty sure the big one is the ground. Oh, there we go. That's a better ground, I guess. All right, so I'm gonna go pop it out of reverse, and that should go to nothing. All right, perfect. So the black with the stripe, I'm going to just splice the power wire for the camera into that. So when the car's put in reverse, the light comes on. That's going to send the signal to the radio. All right, I'm going to hit those with a little bit of solder. Take them up, and we should be good to go. All right, so everything is pretty much ran. I ended up running the GPS wire. I mounted it in here. It actually has like a little sticky on the back, so I just stuck it to that. I ran it down the pillar and pretty much just underneath into the radio. Same thing for the backup camera. I just ran it along the trim here. I did pretty much nothing here as far as wiring. I just did the basic, run the wire for the backup camera, run the wire for the GPS. And as far as all the connections to the existing wiring, it's just going to be plug and play. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how this works and actually retains the steering wheel controls and everything. So it looks like the only thing left to run here is the trigger wire for the backup camera. So I'm just going to splice this into the radio harness. So this just says reverse in. So I'm assuming these two are just going to get connected. I'm just going to butt connect these two. I'm not going to even bother with the soldering gun. Very simple low voltage connection. All right, one last thing I forgot. The USB, I'm gonna try to run it down the hole where I fished the other wires. Maybe I could just leave it. All right, now we're at the fun part of any install. We got to try to stuff all this crap in there so there's room for the radio. Gonna kind of set the slack all the way back here. The GPS wire is small. The biggest thing is going to be this guy because this is huge. I can... That and this thing. I don't exactly know how far back this thing is going to go here. This is, getting this in is going to be fun because, like, you got to stuff this stuff as you slide the radio in, and there's just no room to get your hand in there. All right, well, before I try to get that in, let's see if the thing actually even turns on. All right, that's a good sign. I wonder if I could change that so it shows Opel. That's pretty cool though. So depending on what car you get, it's going to show the emblem for your model or your make. All right, well, first impression, the screen actually looks very respectable. That's pretty nice. Very responsive. I still have the plastic on it, but all right. All right, well, everything seems to, well, you know, let me see. Oh, we got steering wheel controls. All right, everything seems to be working. I'm going to just play with this, try to stuff all those wires in, and then we're going to take this thing for a test run. All right, so I went to try the backup camera quickly before I got this thing in, and it wasn't coming on, and then it comes with a little diagram up here, and the backup camera actually comes with this wire, so I'm actually using the wrong thing, which is going to save me space anyway. So I'm just going to plug this in. This has to go to one of the bottom connectors. Let's see if we're any close to getting this thing in. All right, I think I could get it in now. I don't know what's going on here. Let's try the backup camera. Awesome. That doesn't look bad. It's got lines. Let me see if it recognizes the CarPlay box. I'm going to go for the 3G USB slot first. I don't know, something was going on there. Oh, it's lit up. It's like a red light. All right, I'm going to have to switch over to the GoPro because I'm using my phone now. So let me try to get that synced up. And yeah, I'll check back in with you guys. Shit. I almost forgot 741. All right, guys, so it is the next day. I was playing around with the stereo yesterday. I got it installed. I took it to work. I played with it on my lunch break. Basically, I got a lot more familiar with it to kind of show you guys the features that it has. I messed some stuff up. I pretty much know what's going on with it now and how everything works, the features it has, and I'm pretty happy with it. We're going to go through that in a second, but I figured before we get to that, I just want to give you guys a little sound test on the factory stereo. Now, this car doesn't have auxiliary input. It doesn't have Bluetooth. It's an 08, but it has nothing. You know, it doesn't have a regular auxiliary headphone jack. Absolutely no way to plug a phone into it. So I've been using this FM transmitter that works pretty well. When you're moving those, sometimes you can hit some spots where the audio will kind of dip and, you know, you'll get a little fuzz and stuff, which, I mean, it's a transmitter. What can you really expect? But for what it is, it does work really good. So if you do not have a way to get Bluetooth and you don't want to change your radio, I definitely recommend picking this up. I'm going to put it in the link to Amazon. But yeah, I think my main complaint with this radio is probably the lack of low end. If you come in here, you see I already have the bass cranked all the way up. And it's funny, it's 12 points of bass adjustment, but none of them really seem to do much. And once you get up to 12 and any kind of volume, it's just all staticky disgustingness, kind of, you know, distortion anyway. So it doesn't really matter that the bass is up all the way. But I have Spotify hooked up here. Volume's all the way up. And one other thing I did here was move the wire in the back to the right side. So remember, this was coming out the back on the left where that hole is. I fished it behind there. I put the little box adapter, well, it's right here right now, but I stuffed this in this side. And then when the radio actually slides in, that connector's on the right. So this whole entire chunk kind of goes into the corner there, so it doesn't get squished in the back of the radio, and I can actually get it in there. There it is. Clicked. All right, we're in. So I had time to play around with this thing yesterday. I didn't have time to kind of wrap everything up before I went to work. So at work, I played with this thing for probably about a half hour of my lunch break. And I managed to kind of figure everything out, as well as completely nuke the entire thing. I accidentally and non-accidentally, I went to do a factory reset on it to kind of delete any added apps and, you know, kind of stuff I don't need, because this is an Android operating system. So just kind of lighten it up. I deleted a bunch of stuff, and when I did that, I did I thought it was like a restore, but it was a master erase. So it literally erased everything, reinstalled Android, and then I didn't have the wireless CarPlay. I didn't have their built-in GPS anymore, and yeah, I had to redo my settings, redo everything. But the company, I will say, carnaviplayer.com, they were extremely helpful. They claim on their website they get back to you within 12 hours. They are in China, so if you send them a message, they say within 12 hours they will get back to you. And I got a response within 2 hours. The guy I spoke to actually sent me the file for the autoplay, which is the Apple CarPlay. He told me put it on an SD, plug it into the, a USB stick, plug it into the USB port, and just go into the file. There's like a folder here, file browser, and you could basically just select that and it installs it right onto it. So essentially you could really customize this thing and add whatever apps you want on it, something that I can't do with the Sony radio and the Tahoe. But as you can see, the interface, it's extremely good. I'm not gonna lie, like, it's very quick. Everything comes up instantly. I love these buttons on the side. You have a quick to go to home button. You have the CD eject. You have a back button here. You could just hit if you don't want to hit the home button. If you're in like a menu in the settings and you just want to kind of bounce back, you can hit that button. If I hit the Navi, that'll bring up Google Maps, because I haven't yet reinstalled their navigation software. Once again, I'm probably not going to use it, but it's like an 8.5 gig file, and I didn't have a USB stick big enough to drag it back on here, but I am going to do that. Band will bring you over to radio. Once you set your presets, you can kind of just bounce around with them like that. Go home, it'll show the radio there. Another cool thing you could do, which I turned on, you could see the Bluetooth, the phone signal, and the battery life up here, as well as the voltage for the car. So you can see that's coming up to alternator voltage. So just a cool little thing you could do. You could pull down up here, it'll bring you up a little menu. And this thing actually does have like browsability on it. You could go onto YouTube. There is a YouTube app in here, but for some reason I can't get it to connect to the internet. Well, it says there's an update, so that might be why. But yeah, I don't have my Google Play account handy to log into that. But if you just go into Google here, it does have voice command, which actually seems to work pretty well. YouTube. I'm doing everything here real time, so you know, let's do this. LSX mat. Mic picks it up, no problem. And this does have an input for an external. Oh, yeah. Ooh. All right, I was talking pretty fast there. And I said it does have a mic, and then it started recording. Fix it up, no problem. And it does have an input for an external. So it picked up that pretty good. And I was talking pretty fast there. So let's do that again. LSX mat. And this is going through my phone data, I'm assuming. So if you do want to play around with this, just be aware that's what's going on there. But so there you go. It works. You could play YouTube videos on this thing, and that just makes it even better because you could kind of just go straight to YouTube and browse music and stuff like that and play through the car. But once again, you know, it's just one of those things where it's cool to have. It's a little gimmicky, but the head unit will do it, and my Sony doesn't do that. But then again, that does come down being this is an Android head unit, so you could basically just essentially, I guess it's like it's jailbroken or something. I'm an iPhone person, so I haven't had an Android since the Note 3. So I don't know what the hell you can actually do with these things. But yeah, all this is new to me. You got Facebook on here. You can access your email. Basically do whatever the hell you want in this thing. And the interface is great. Look at this. You could basically just jump in and out, do whatever the hell you want to do with it. And it doesn't care. And like I said, I was using this yesterday, and I experienced absolutely no glitches. It didn't act weird. Nothing froze once. I didn't have to restart it. So as long as, you know, the build quality is there and this thing is going to hold up years down the line, I'm really impressed with it, and I don't mind paying what I paid for it. But, you know, when you think about it, if you want... Oh, you know what? Actually, while I'm here, steering wheel controls. They work right out of the box. If we come into the track change works, and the controls for the screen there still work. So yeah, everything does what it needs to do. The mute works. This you could actually change sources with. It'll go from radio, Bluetooth, DVD, navigation, basically whatever you want to do. And you can see, even though we are playing the radio on the aftermarket head unit here, it still displays the radio up there. And I think if you just got a regular aftermarket that wasn't designed to work with the car, you would obviously lose the steering wheel controls. You have to probably get some kind of aftermarket box to make this work. And I'm not sure if this would actually cooperate with the radio. Unfortunately, if you're playing Spotify or something, it doesn't actually show the name of what you're doing up there, like the name of the song. But if you go into, I think, Bluetooth or music, yeah, that comes up there. Basically shows what you're doing down here. So I thought that was pretty cool. All right, so before I go through any more of the features of this thing, let's just jump into the CarPlay here. Hop into Spotify. Actually, let's go in here. We'll mess with the equalizer. Oh yeah, that sounds a hell of a lot better. And it actually hits pretty hard. Now this is like an actual equalizer, and I guess it helps that the head unit has a little bit more power. There is a hell of a lot more low end. Once again, steering wheel controls do what they need to do. Let's bring that down a hair. Jump back into Spotify. Track change. Okay, now this is what I want to address. There is a little bit of a delay. I never actually used wireless CarPlay before. I always had it plugged in, and when I'm using this, there's a little delay between changing songs. Now, if you look on here, the head unit itself, it actually changes it pretty damn quickly. There's just a little bit of a delay from when you change it on the steering wheel and the music starts playing. So if you're driving, you have the music on, you're not looking at the screen, and you want to change tracks, there's that delay. So you're kind of like, wait, what the hell happened? You might hit it again, and then you end up in that annoying loop where you're just going back and forth between a song because you didn't know there was like that big of a delay. And just jumping into the general settings real quick here, you can customize this, so you could change the wallpaper. I just left it black to kind of show the screen. I don't know how the GoPro's picking it up, but it is, the colors are pretty good on here. It might look a little washed out on the camera, but everything, looking at this in person, it doesn't look like it's like washed out or like really shitty or anything. The colors are pretty good. But let's throw a wallpaper on here to kind of, yeah, I don't know how that's showing up. Very quick. Oh, here you go. What's that, Saturn? It's a Saturn, right? Let's put that on there. Oh, did I not do it? See, I mean, this right back in. There it is. Okay. That's the wallpaper. And then going into the car settings, you can personalize basically a bunch of options. There's like a power off delay here. Auto illumination, so this illuminates this when the lights come on, I believe. And the LED setting is pretty good. It has RGB in here. You could customize this wherever the hell you want. Just kind of swipe along here, pick whatever color. I just left it on orange because this matches the orange that's going on everywhere else in the car. And I think I fine-tuned that. I pulled a little red out of it here to kind of make it a little bit lighter. And factory settings, if you go in here, and I think the password was 888, you can change the boot up logo to whatever you want. You can see I changed it to the Opel. You can just put, you know, GM. Okay, so when we put the headlights on here, you'll see it dims, off. No, that's off. Screen gets brighter during the day. Headlights on, it dims, comes up, all the lights match, looks freaking awesome. Let's put a CD in it, because I didn't try that yet. I'm not going to really play the music for you, but let's just see if it actually takes in and ejects it. And I want to see how the menu looks. That's not some 41. What is going on? I think the CarPlay is playing over that. What the hell is going on here? Do I have to actually manually go to disk? Oh, okay, that's it. So yeah, it comes up with DVD up there. It shows the play time. Let's see if it comes out. Perfect. Yeah, I really have no complaints with this thing. I'm going to keep you guys in the loop. We'll see how it does in the long term, but so far, you know, the installation, the fit, everything seems to be really good. I got to really try the microphone. Also, this comes with a remote. I have it in the box over there. It's not really something I'm probably going to ever use, but it has that. It has the SD card. It has a GPS slot, which there's nothing in there, so I don't really, I guess you just put an SD in there to update the GPS. All right, so I just took a little drive. The Bluetooth actually works really good. I had a phone call. I was talking on it for a little bit. The sound coming out of the speaker sounds freaking perfect. The person on the other line could hear me without a problem. So the little built-in mic here seems to do a really good job. You know, granted, this is a kind of small car, so your results may vary if you have like an SUV or something where, you know, the dash is kind of further away from you. But for this, it actually works pretty good. The infotainment screen up here, for some reason, when I throw it in reverse, it comes up with this rear lamp warning or this message. Now, I've had issues with this where it'll tell me reverse light or brake light, which means like one of those bulbs are out. And I know one of the rear lights on the left, the bulb is really black. It looks like it's about to go out. So this may just be a warning for that. Or it could be something with tying into the reverse. It might be detecting the, you know, the resistance change or something for the camera and throwing that warning. I don't really know. I could just scroll through here, you know, it'll get rid of it. But that's just something, I'm gonna change the bulb and see where that goes. Backup camera outside, it's pretty good. The biggest downfall, I think, to this is the angle, because, you know, I'm sitting up here, I'm kind of looking down at the camera where normally your screen will be like up there and you could kind of see what's going on as you back up. But that's not, you know, a fault of the head unit. That's just the design of the car. So here we are back in the newer kind of shop. I'm going to kind of give you guys a little tour in a second. But anybody who's interested in that radio, I'm going to put a link to the website and the exact one that I got down in the description. Once again, this isn't a sponsored video. I bought that radio on my own, found it myself. But here we are in the garage. It's a little bit different, little paint, a little organization kind of goes a long way. I don't have a lot of space in here, and everything has always been kind of a cluster. Like I never really got everything exactly how I wanted, and I pretty much did get it exactly how I wanted for the most part now. But I just wanted to mention that that's probably the last that you're going to see of the Astra for a while. I just wanted to put that video out because you guys seem to really enjoy the video I did on my Malibu, getting the $45 Amazon touchscreen, as well as the install on the Tahoe with the Sony head unit. You guys really seem to like that kind of stuff. And I'm planning on making more videos this year, kind of automotive, electronic kind of stuff, gadgets and stuff like that, throwing them in there, seeing if they're any good, kind of trying some stuff out. I think that'll be kind of fun, as well as the usual content, you know, on the Trans Am and the Tahoe. The Camaro, you're probably not going to see much of it this year just because I kind of stopped making videos on it. And nobody seemed to really care, and the videos I do put on it, they don't get, you know, a shit ton of views. But yeah, the main inspiration behind doing all this wasn't so much to not have to work on the car, but because I wanted to make working on the car a lot easier. You see, this space is very small, and ever since I got it, I was kind of just so excited. Oh, I'm gonna have a place where I can kind of work on something. If I gotta go to work, I can kind of just drop my tools and go. I don't have to like clean everything up in the driveway, put everything away. So when I got this place, I was kind of in a rush to kind of get in here. I just threw some paint on the walls. I didn't like the color. It was supposed to be this color that I have now, this kind of like gray color, but it turned out to be this kind of bluish, baby blue kind of color when I put it on the walls, and I never changed it. And yeah, that's basically how it's been. And then eventually I started running out of space. I needed more storage for tools. So I said, you know what, new year, let's kind of clean this place up, make it look a little better, make it represent the channel a little better. And yeah, I definitely think I hit my mark with it. So as you can see, first of all, the doors, they aren't pink anymore. I put up that insulation because these doors had no insulation on them whatsoever. I just put some foam up there. And I never really did anything about it. So now I finally painted them to match the walls. I got this nice deep blue at the bottom with the black stripe and the gray up top. You know, I did around the windows. I put some shades, some paper, you know, cheap shades on the window just to keep the light from coming in, because that seems to really screw up the focus when I'm shooting a video, and it messes with the camera pretty bad. So I got that up. You know, really just paint and some shades, and that's all I did when it comes to the walls. The ceiling I left alone because I don't know how much longer I'm going to be in here. Obviously, I want to go to something bigger. So I really just scraped all the flakes off the ceiling and just left it. This whole ceiling just really needs to be tore down and redone. The tape lines, you know, are in absolute shit condition. So I figured, you know, we'll just clean the walls up, at least get the flakes off the ceiling. And I think it does look a hell of a lot better, even with just the paint and leaving the ceiling the way it is. These lights over here, I got from Home Depot. You get them on Amazon, though. I took out those fluorescent fixtures. Once again, just very roughly, I just patched the holes and just screwed these in, put some sockets in there, and you can aim these however you want. So when I'm working on the car here, I can literally just turn this, flip it up, and just have it aim right down into the engine bay. I can see exactly what's going on. And if I'm doing bench work, you know, I could just kind of turn it and aim it wherever the hell I want. They're a lot more useful than the fluorescents that were up there. Same with this, especially since this is kind of the transmission, rebuild kind of work, bench area. Going back to the walls, I finally got some, posters and stuff up. I got this thing off of eBay. I have the Mighty Carbon's banner. I just flipped it. I got this little Pontiac one off of eBay that was like, I think it was like 20 bucks or something like that. The Camaro one was like 20 bucks. I moved the Modern Day Hot Rods L6 Matte banner right over there, being this is kind of the spot that I'm usually kind of sitting whenever I start a video. We got the Camaro sign up there. And then once again, my girlfriend got me this Corvette LED sign. The only thing I need now is a Trans Am sign. And I think I covered most of the kind of popular GM stuff. We got the GM service banner over here. Once again, this was an eBay purchase. I think it was like 20 bucks also. And I like the way that looks, being this is kind of like the service corner where all the work's gonna be happening. And obviously the biggest thing I did here was organization. So if you remember before, I had this big wooden cabinet in the corner here. There was a door underneath and there was a door up top and it was like facing this way. That was just filled with junk, basically, old tools. A lot of it was just extra wire and garbage, and I basically went through all that stuff, saved whatever was good, put it up in the attic, the rest got thrown away. That snap-on cabinet was actually inside the bottom of that. So I got this mounted to the wall. I put a bunch of AC stuff in here, and there are like rivets and things up there, some AC gauges. So this is actually useful now. Got the Harbor Freight magnets holding some stuff. I moved my fan that's just been kind of floating around on the floor, hanging on the wall, in a permanent spot now. So if I'm working on the car in the summer, it's a little warm, I could just kind of aim it down where I want. Plus this also does a good job of like pulling the heat down, because all the heat tends to stay up at the ceiling. When I'm under the car, it's kind of cold. So I just plug that in and it'll kind of push some of the heat down. But yeah, getting rid of that giant cabinet allowed me to move the press over, because I wanted to have this basically clear, because whenever I got to do work on the wheel here, the press is in the way, that cabinet was in the way. It was really a pain in the ass to do anything on the wall side of the car. And the workbench I left where it was because I have to have it a little offset, because if I bring the Tahoe in here, I can't open the drawers, because I initially had it aligned directly under the cabinet when I first put this place together. So I had to move it over that way, and I ended up bolting this into the wall. So when I do a transmission, I don't have to worry about it, toppling over. Under here, I have the Trans Am's old engine. Somebody supposedly is going to come grab that on Saturday. That's the Camaro's old engine. That is hopefully going to be on the channel this year. I got a plan for that. So that should be out of there. This stuff is just temporary. And then I got a new heater. This is a 20,000 BTU indoor propane heater. It has a thermostat, so when it gets warm enough, it'll actually turn the flame off. And you can see it'll just leave the pilot light on, and then when the temperature gets too cold, it'll just relight itself. And this thing's been working great. It's extremely quiet. I don't know if you remember that other heater I had. It was like that construction kind of floor propane one that was like 30,000 BTUs. It just used a lot of propane. It was very, very loud. I had to leave the door cracked. This is safe to use inside, and this place is nowhere near airtight. Like, I feel breezes coming through the closed windows. So either way, I'm going to be good. I just got to get a carbon monoxide detector in here. Probably be a good idea. But this thing is supposedly really efficient, and I think it has a meter in there. So if the levels get at a bad spot, it'll actually turn itself off or do something like that. But I'm very happy with this compared to the other one that I had. And once the engine's out of here, my plan is to get a longer hose for that. That's just a barbecue hose. And I'm going to put the propane underneath here, so that'll be out of the way. The engine stand is temporary. Once the Trans Am has its engine in there, that's going back into storage or out into the shed. Over here, you can see I moved the welder that has always been sitting in the corner there. And whenever I need it, I can't actually take it out when I have a car here and the Trans Am is sitting here. So I finally have that in a spot where I can roll it out and use it. It's only here temporarily because I have the hoist here, which is also here temporarily. Once the engine is permanently in the Trans Am, that's going back into the shed. And this is going to sit right over here. As you know, I used to have that black kind of box here that took up a lot of space. I wanted to get rid of that stupid thing because, once again, coming to work on one of the wheels back here, it was always in the way. You can see it came out to like here. And whenever I had to actually do something, I couldn't fit in here. I have to swing the car around. It was a huge hassle. I also got a tank of argon for this, so I can finally MIG with it. I don't have to use the flex core anymore. And with the welder over there, I took the jack stands. I took all the shelves out of this. and I have 2 of the big jack stands under there with the wheel chock. This was in that black box. And then over here, I have 2 of the 3-ton jack stands, just with some of the hoses and a light, you know, the siphon pumps and stuff. Coming in this corner where the welder used to be, once again, there was like a wooden cabinet against this wall. If I could find a picture, I'm going to post it for you guys. And that was just filled with transmission parts and junk, old grease guns, stuff that just been sitting in there not getting used. I never really needed the space, so I didn't do anything with it. But this thing I got from Lowe's for 300 bucks. It fits in there very nicely. And now I have some actual usable storage. Also, these little magnetic clips, magnetic hooks from Harbor Freight are absolutely freaking amazing. I have my loom that I use a lot stacked up here. That closes without a problem. Kind of a little, you know, parts pantry. I got some new paintbrushes. Great for Pour 15, kind of one-time use stuff from Harbor Freight. More of these hooks. My laser level, that's what I used to do the stripe. And then I basically just kind of organized this in a way where I can access the stuff I need and the stuff I don't can kind of be stacked on top of it. So up here I have, you know, heat gun, hair dryer, stuff for paint, the cutoff wheel. That's a battery tester. I'm gonna actually do a video on comparing it to a newer style. You know, all basically, this all is all the electric kind of tools. I got my air gun back there that I like hardly ever use. Straight edge. Down here, all of the case stuff. This stuff used to all be down there. So I took the shelves out of there so I could fit the jack stands. And everything here is basically specialty that I use for the engine. Micrometers, the dial indicator, the dial bore gauge. I have a bolt stretch gauge. This is my AN wrench set. Leak down tester, seal driver. You know, the seal driver I use sometimes, I can get that out. But all this stuff that I kind of got to move this to get out, this is just specialty stuff that isn't going to get used that much. O2 sensor kit, brake line kit, oil pressure gauge, power probe, dial caliper, you know, vernier caliper, tap and die set. These are axle sockets, Dremel, and this is the little Harbor Freight electric whizzy wheel thing. All this stuff I could get out pretty easily. And then down here, this is my hex key, what is it? The Silver Eagle torque set, industrial glue gun, Harbor Freight AC gauges. This is something I found in that old wood cabinet, some diagnostic tool, I forgot what it was. You know, the crane scale that we still have to use to measure the 5.3 before it goes back in there permanently. And yeah, just kind of the specialty stuff that I don't really use. I just kind of throw over here my angle gauge that I use for the driveline angle, piston ring compressor, some AN wrenches. This thing I love. It's a adjustable AN wrench. And yeah, just cover alignment tool for LS stuff. All that stuff just kind of fits nicely there. And then at the bottom, my favorite part of this cabinet, which I didn't even plan, I managed to wedge the compressor in there. I ran the lines out and it actually fits without an extension cord. Not only does this make it substantially quieter, but now I can actually come in here and do stuff when I got to work on the front wheels here. Because when I had to do the cross member, it was a pain getting in there with the compressor. And this so much isn't a problem. The vacuum, I'm probably going to move under there once the engines are out. But even this, I can just easily move over here if I'm working. The light and the tripod, that's temporary stuff. That's not here when I'm actually doing a video. And then that's just a, you know, a roll around seat that is also going to go into there once the Trans Am engine is out. And other than that, I could get up and down this side without an issue. I could get up and down this side without an issue. That's a table I use for lunch a lot, so I just leave it there. And lastly, on that back wall, I mounted the fire extinguisher. I had a couple of them that were on that wooden thing. I mounted that one there, easy to get to, nothing in the way. And that is basically it for, you know, the storage cabinets. I got that to replace those 2 wooden things, and couldn't be happier that I did. Everything's like accessible now. All right, coming back to this side, I know this is what everybody's gonna be interested in. All these tools used to just be kind of thrown in this top drawer here, and I'll show you guys in here too. This is all of the sockets that were in that blue Cobalt set that used to be on that box that just sat there not getting used. Because this is all my uncle's stuff. This is what I usually use. But I never, I wanted a place to lay this stuff out because whenever I get another place, all this stuff is probably going to be using. I'm probably not going to take this with me. So I got these from Harbor Freight, just kind of laid everything out. The stuff that I use a lot, you know, the hammers, the temp gauge, the little hose crimp things, all that stuff is up here. These used to be on the wall over here, which I hated because I didn't realize it, but when I put them up, everything was great. When I went to do a transmission, when I took the 6L80 apart, I couldn't push the transmission far enough against the wall because these things used to stick out to like here. So I got them stacked over there. I kind of just put like anchors and stuff. I got fender washers. There's soldering stuff down here. All these little crimp terminal connections. I got some heat shrink organized up here. Basically everything that you're gonna need, like little random washers, self-tapping screws. I still have a bunch of empty ones I gotta fill up. These gotta go on the Camaro. These are the pulleys for the Kong drive. I found a nice fender cover that was in that wood cabinet. I finally got a first aid kit that my girlfriend got me. And then, yeah, the Milwaukee stuff, I got these little 3D printed pieces off of eBay. They were pretty cheap. And I just got enough for the batteries and what I have. I got an extra spot there, and I got an extra two if I get 2 more batteries. But these just screw into the wall. The batteries just slide on there. And before, like I said, all this stuff was in this drawer. So whenever I needed, I wouldn't use them. Like, I need this little 1/4-inch gun, and I'd be like, it's buried in there somewhere, whatever. Let me just get a 1/4-inch wrench. So all this stuff was getting unused. Now that it's here, literally pull it, pull a battery. Actually, here, let me show you. So we need the 1/4-inch wrench here. Good to go. We're done with it. Just like that. Or I'm done with something, I got to charge it. I got the charger hanging up here. We could just stick it in there, grab a gun, grab it off the charger. When you're done, just separate them. Everything goes back. Everything has its own home. Everything's organized. I can use all these tools now. I know what I have. I have plenty of room if I want to add a few more there, add a few more up here. And yeah, I think this is my favorite part of everything because I can actually access everything I'm using. This grinding wheel I'm going to mount here. I got to find a nut for this, and I want to change the wheels and get new guards here. But this was another thing that's just been sitting on the floor. I didn't have a place to put it, so I'm going to probably just screw it in here. This is all getting used in the next video, so this just sits here. I got this little heater on Amazon, which is great if I'm over here working on the car, because I can have that just kind of, you know, aiming at my back. It's really small. It doesn't take up a lot of space. And all these are basically just the bolts that came off the Trans Am that are sitting in that pan. My big torque wrench, I couldn't find a place to put in the cabinet that was accessible, so I just left it under there. The power probe, soldering iron, the same thing. I love these things. I finally got some place to actually put the paper towels from Harbor Freight, as well as the glove thing. My $35 a box gloves, that's how much these are going for now on Amazon. I got 4 boxes. They were like 35 bucks each. Normally you get them, I think, for like 18 or 17 at AutoZone. But what can you do? That's kind of just what you got to pay right now. I got all the masks, you know, ear protection hanging up here. All my paper towels, they're kind of laid out. I got 2 more up there. That's like another video. There's a lot of kind of old stuff and like, there's a lot of junk up there. Maybe we'll do a video, kind of a tour of up there one day. But yeah, everything has a place. We got the trash can, we got the trash bags, extra gloves. Heat's doing pretty good. We're at 65. I just put it on as soon as I started this video. I have a place for all my cutting wheels. These are from Harbor Freight, magnetic. They're supposed to go in a toolbox. All this stuff used to kind of be thrown in this cabinet, thrown in there. All my impact bits. So I grab a gun from the Milwaukee. I come over here. I need a little screw tip. I need one of these guys. All those are here. My Christmas tree bits. This magnetic hanger used to be on that side. Got it over here now, all the common stuff, oil filter wrench. This is for transmission stuff. This I use a lot. I got the dustpan under the workbench, you know, wire things, wire strippers. This is a camera gadget. I have a lot of R134As kind of stashed around in here. I've been picking that up because it's been going for like $5 or less at Walmart lately. So now's the time to buy it before, you know, summer comes around and they start switching over to that new refrigerant. Who knows what's going to happen to this, if it's going to go up in price, if it's going to be obsolete. Who knows? Electrical stuff, these I got off of Amazon. I'm going to link them. Once again, they're magnetic. Got soldering, you know, torch, solder stuff down here. Terminal grease, electrical stuff. These I ended up doing because whenever I take something apart, I have nowhere to put the bolts. So I got 2 pieces of scrap steel I had laying around. I anchored it into the wall, and then this is just a magnet. So these I can pull off if I want to clean them, rinse them out, whatever. And I use this bottom one for basically whatever I'm doing at the time. So this is all the bolts from the 6L80E. I got old wire brushes and stuff up here if I'm cleaning something on the bench. These are the snap ring pliers for 6L80Es. I got hose clamps here. This is just kind of what I had laying around. I got to go online and actually order them so I can fill this thing up. The drill press, I moved from over there, and I am going to screw it into the bench. And the workbench, I'm really happy with this too. I finally redid the top of this because this was that like MDF wood that was just soaked with oil. I got this at Lowe's. 2 sheets were perfect. I didn't even have to cut them down. I just trimmed them this way. And then I got this edging, just screwed that into the table. A lot easier to clean. I put a power strip back here, so now I have power. The last 2 pieces that were left, I used them to put up here as a guard, and they fit absolutely perfectly. So no liquid or nothing is going to get in the way of that or bump it. And hopefully it'll hold most of the fluid in. Lastly, I have these I got from Harbor Freight purely for extension cords. I put another one down here for the lift control and the wire that's actually going out that's powering this that I temporarily plug in whenever I'm actually in here. That I loop around here. It used to be kind of hanging here. And lastly, before we get to the cabinet here, I got another one and I put it there for all the extra heater hose that I took off my Camaro when I went to 3/4 inch line for the supercharger cooler. And all this stuff was basically in that wooden cabinet over there. So I just put it up there on display, just old, lubricants and stuff. I took the fire bucket, I emptied all the sand out, and I used that for my funnels now. And over here, I found a place to put all my folding chairs. These were scattered all over the place, the creeper. Everything's basically accessible now. I have a shitload of carb cleaner. I bought the wrong thing at AutoZone. I never returned it. I thought I was buying 2 cases of a brake cleaner. It was carb cleaner. In here, this used to be a complete disaster mess. I finally went through it. This was the last thing I did. And basically, it's all labeled. I could know where everything is. All different kind of tapes up here. You're going to see refrigerant just kind of scattered in here because I couldn't find a place to put it. But that's pretty much long time storage. But I got all my tapes up here. Pile of zip ties, wire. We got 12 gauge, 10 gauge. This is going to be PCV and vacuum hose. The fluids, there's no real rule here. Everything is just kind of sitting in there. All the brake cleaners here, just miscellaneous, silicone lubricants and some oil and, ATCs over there. I didn't label the bottom stuff. In the middle, we have all of our exhaust clamps. I got these rubber hangers. These Scotch-Rite pads are great. I love going to like Dollar Tree because you can get a bunch of these that are great for cleaning stuff, great for cleaning like gasket surfaces and things on aluminum. And I also pick up these brushes. Once again, great for like Pour 15, any kind of like rough painting, rusty metal. I got a bunch of them labeled. Glues, this is for the hot glue gun. Over to the last side, I have all my gaskets, sealants, RTV. This is a blower gasket for an LSA. This is foam stick-on gasket. O-ring seals, my GM clip kit. All these just, crimp terminals, E-clips, everything's labeled. Washers if I need them, random hardware. Tripod I use in tight spaces. Just, miscellaneous. I got rubbing alcohol, fiberglass repair, some fuel filter that's got to go on the Tahoe back there. Down here, these are basically, those are like oils and stuff. These are chemicals. This stuff's supposed to be really good. A lot of you guys recommended this on one of my Tahoe cleaning videos. And I think that wraps it up. You can see we're already at like 70 degrees in here. That heater works friggin' incredible. It wasn't expensive either. It was like 150 bucks I got off Amazon. It uses so much less propane than the other one. And unfortunately, I wanted to get one of those electric ones that a lot of people seem to have, like the ones that go on the ceiling, and they're like 240 volts. This place only has 120 volts. It can't even handle 2 of those running at one time, 2 of those little heaters. So there's no way in hell I'm gonna be able to wire 240 into this place. So that's why I had to go with the propane. This year, I have a lot of stuff I want to do. Priority, I know you guys love Tahiti. You want Tahoe stuff. This car has to get running. All you third-gen guys, the Trans Am is way more popular than the Camaro, and I want to get this thing running. First, I get to get the transmission back together. And yeah, I know it kind of takes some time to put these out. This cleaning took a lot of time, just waiting for stuff, waiting for all of the little eBay things. Took a lot of time figuring out where I want to put stuff, the paint, touch-ups. It was just a lot of work, so now I'm finally glad I could get back to the content for you. And yeah, priority is the Trans Am here. The Tahoe's not going anywhere, don't worry. It's going to be back. I'm probably going to put some random videos in there. Like the headliner I'm probably going to do soon, stuff like that. But the primary focus, I got to stop jumping from one car to the other because nothing seems to be getting done. The Camaro got finished. Nobody seemed to really view those videos as much as they do these, but the car got done. My final goal for this is to make a 9-second pass with this year, but the car is basically there. I got to kind of tinker with the transmission, maybe throw a synchro in it, but for the most part, it runs, it drives. So that moves us on to the Trans Am. We got to get this thing running, get it out of here, because once this is up and running in NA form, and remember, this is a sleeper, so it's going to be getting boost, I want to boost to Tahoe this year. All right, but as usual, I hope you guys enjoy the video. There's a lot of talking towards the end of this, but a lot of you guys seem to be interested in what exactly I did in here, and I hope it helps you out as far as the storage stuff goes. I'm going to put a link to these tool hangers on eBay down in the description. This is a Milwaukee thing. Somebody actually makes these on eBay. If the link expires, just search on eBay Milwaukee tool hanger and you'll see them come up. They're just simple 3D printed pieces, very inexpensive. And yeah, all the banners, same thing. I got those off of eBay as well. But next week I am diving into this, so it may be a little time, not as much as this was, but maybe half the time before another Trans Am video goes out. But it's going to be packed full of a lot of information. The videos are going to be longer now. I'm going to be doing more work on it. So believe me, it's going to be worth the wait. But once again, I'm going to link everything I used in this video down in the description, the radio site, all that stuff. But that's enough of me blabbering. Hope you guys have a great new year, belated new year, and I'll see you in the next one.